Welcome to the Positively Famous Podcast, Mariah.
So lovely to be here.
I am so happy to have you today. And I know that you were really expecting that I was going to interview you today on this show.
That is really
But
respectful.
you know, things don't always go the way we anticipate, kind of like being on set. And so actually, I really want you to interview me because this is going to be my very first episode of the Positively Famous Podcast. Are you game? Can we do this?
I'm game. Completely
Okay, good.
unprepared, off
Perfect.
the cuff. How did you even get into animal acting, that sort of thing? How did you come upon that?
Well, I ended up getting a little Jack Russell named Miss Hope, who was just the cutest little white Parson Russell Terrier. And she had one little spot on her forehead. And when I asked people about that, that little spot, they said, that means it's the Queen Anne's thumbprint. That means that's a good one. And she was just an amazing little trick dog. And so through Miss Hope, I started getting hired by other agencies, right? Because I didn't have my own agency back then. I started getting hired to do commercials and print shoots and all that kind of fun things with her. And, I actually went specifically looking for a dog that I could get into this business because that was my dream, right?
Yeah.
You can't dream about something and then go get like a black German Shepherd or something.
Yeah.
It's
Black
not
Great
going to
Dane.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have to get what's going to sell. What's going to sell.
Yeah.
So I got this little dog, Miss Hope, and she got a lot of work. And then one of my friends, who was part of one of the agencies that I worked for pretty often, said, you need to have a double because your dog's not going to get booked for like a bigger thing if you don't have a double. Right. Because if you take a dog on set and all of a sudden it's like limping and they're like, oh, bring in the backup dog. They don't want to waste their money on just relying on one dog. So I ended up getting another Jack Russell named Nikita. Did you ever watch that TV show? Oh, come on.
I didn't own a TV till 2006.
That explains everything.
So anything before 2006 is a.
So I got Nikki, and she ended up being a very fluffy Jack Russell, where Hope was like a smooth Jack Russell. Okay. So I would shave Nikki and put a spot on her head, and she looked just like Hope, right?
Yeah.
So those two little dogs is kind of what led me to working for other agencies and learning about the business and learning how to be on set and how to work my dogs. And I'm just so grateful for both of those dogs coming into my life.
The right dog is everything.
Exactly. I mean, we all hope that we get those like 1 in a million, 1 in a billion dogs that enter our life. And I'm just so thankful I actually got 2 back to back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what led me to, at some point, a few years into the business, opening my own company.
So you got enough experience on set as the handler, trainer, and Jack Russells are, I mean, as you know, used like crazy in set work. They're great little trick dogs, and they're great little dogs to be trained, right? So I'm sure you got a ton of work, and then you were just like, I'm just gonna do my own thing. I'm gonna work for myself.
Well, kind of. What really prompted that, right, was that because I never really thought about being an agent. I just didn't.
Seems like a lot of work.
But let's just say I don't always make the best employee because I find things that need change, things that could be improved upon, right? And let's just say that the agent that I was working with really was not always appreciative of my feedback, right? So I was complaining. I was kind of complaining to a man who's a legend in the dog training industry, Mr. Captain Haggerty. For those of you guys that know who Captain Haggerty is, right? So I was talking to Cap, and I was telling him that I was getting frustrated because some of the things that I had expressed concern about or thought could be done better were just kind of just like wiped out by this man that I was speaking with who owned the agency. I wasn't really taken very serious. And so Cap gave me some great advice. He said, Dawn, open your own agency. And I was like, okay, sir, I will do that.
So do my own thing. Do it better. Bigger and better.
I'll do it better. The way that I feel comfortable with it, the way I feel comfortable treating animals, and the way I feel animals should be treated, right? That was the big thing. I mean, you can treat people kind of crappy, which just say kind of did happen, but it was more my concern with some of the animal situations.
Because they can't advocate for themselves.
Exactly. And I try to advocate. That's me. Like, I don't just shut up. It's not my personality. So now I opened my own agency, and shortly after that, I ended up getting a call to do Dogs 101 for Animal Planet, the TV show.
Great show. Quality show.
Thank you. It was a blast. I enjoyed almost every second of it. It was sometimes a little bit stressful.
Fair.
But it was a blast.
I grew up on that show. That I watched religiously. Grew up on that show.
Did you literally just say you grew up on that? Do you know how old
I did? Take
you
that,
made me
Jagger.
feel now?
Heart.
Oh my gosh.
It should be a compliment. Don't think about the age thing. What's age? It's but a number.
Right. Well, I started that show in 2009. So that was.
See, I owned a TV. I owned a TV in 2009. Therefore, I watched it, and it was dog related. So
good.
If it makes you feel any better, 2009, I was like a junior in high school. Like, grew up is like a loose term, but
okay, all right.
Don't feel that old.
Please don't be 7 or something. No, that's right, because you were a deprived child. You didn't have a TV. I forgot about that.
No. If I grew up on a TV show, it was like my teenage life. I grew up on it.
Okay, good. I'm glad you loved it. It was one of the best experiences I've had doing a show. So,
I loved it.
They also, besides Dogs 101, let's just say the second season of Cats 101. Yeah, I ended up taking that on too. Even though I'm highly allergic to cats, I am a trooper. I may have. Let me have a little sip of this. I might have had a little bit of wine that night because they took me out in New York City. They wined me literally and dined me and said, Dawn, can you take on Cats 101? Because I had passed it off the first year to someone else because I'm allergic. Like, I could literally die. But I was like, okay, fine. I'll take this on. So I did Cats 101 too. And then we ended up doing a Pets 101, which I thought was super fun because then we got to have a lot of the exotic animals.
Oh yeah.
Like a capybara. I've always wanted. Aren't those cute? I think they're adorable. And skunks. And we had raccoons. Yeah, that was really
encouraging the populace to own skunks. Making every kid go, Mommy, I want a skunk.
They're very nice animals.
I've heard that they are.
They could make really good pets for the right people, for sure. Yeah, so that's a little bit how I ended up starting Pawsitively Famous, and here we are many, many years later, and starting this podcast to help other people who maybe have dreamed about getting into the business. One of the things with this podcast is I want to be that friend, right? I want to be that friend that people can ask questions to so that they can succeed in this industry. I mean, you and I, Mariah, we've talked, right?
Yeah, a lot.
You work with other agents, right? There's nobody who works exclusively for me. Okay. My goal is that we all just work, and we work a lot, and we have a really good time doing it. And we represent whoever it is we're working for in a very professional manner. Right.
Yeah.
So I've always been that person. I try to be that person for other trainers when they're doing something with another agent and maybe they're a little hesitant to ask questions, right? Because maybe they don't want to come across as not knowing, or, you know what I'm saying? Or they're having problems with an agent and they're not quite sure how they could handle things. Like,
it's hard.
I always just try to be a nice, kind person. And if somebody asks me, I'm always happy to help. So that's one of the things I want to do with this podcast, is really just be that for people, right? The person that I did not have in my life when I was dreaming of being on set with my dogs and stuff like that. And how did I even, go about doing it? And I kind of lucked into it.
Because I think most of us did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's a difficult industry. People ask me how to get into it all the time. And, I luckily have sources like you and other agents. And I'm like, well, you can reach out to them. But like, really, to get consistent work, you have to, like you said earlier, you have to have the right dog, right? You have to start with the right dog
Absolutely.
and then have the right knowledge and have the right temperament yourself, right?
True.
So I think a lot of it is luck. I mean, I got into it by someone reaching out to me via Instagram and being like, hey, you have stable, nice Dalmatians and you have a reputation for it. You want to be on set. Right. But if I had gone on set and not been like the best or like kind of awkward, or my dogs had not performed at their peak performance that day, as you know, dogs fickle, right? And they'd never been in that situation before. And our first job was wild. I'll have to talk about that at some other podcast, but it was insane. And my dogs were great. And then because of that, we got called back. But if all the stars had not aligned, it wouldn't have happened, right? Nobody would have called me back because they'd be like, Dalmatian's not good. Per usual. Such a disappointment, right? There's not a whole lot of forgiveness on your first job. Nobody knows you, right? So I think most of us luck into this industry or fall into it or know somebody who knows somebody. So having a resource to be like, hey, here's how you from ground zero start your journey is huge. It's huge. All right. So when did you even think about this podcast thing, right? You've got so much going on as an agent, right? You're so busy. I know you are. And then you came up with this idea.
Well, if we go back to 2020, right, during the everybody was staying at home and staying safe and all that kind of stuff.
Pandemic we had.
I love talking to people. That's one of the best things when I was a dog trainer. I love meeting new people. I love meeting their pet. I love all that interaction. And during the pandemic, I didn't get any of that. You know what I mean? I'm just going to go live and bring on some of my community members and bring on some professional trainers and other people in the industry. And let's just hang out and talk, right? Let's pour a drink and let's sit around and talk about this. So that's exactly what happened. I had just the best time doing these live shows. And then I guess after a couple of months, it was a lot. Let me just say going live every single day for like 6 weeks was a lot. I pretty much went every day. Yes. Well, nobody had anything to do. And so I just was trying to make people smile and think about the future. Like, yes, we're locked down right now, but this is not going to be the way. So train your dogs. Let me give you a little bit of knowledge. So when things open up, maybe you know a little bit more about the industry and you're ready to hit the ground running with this, right? Okay. So that was really how it started. So I decided I'm going to do an audio version, not just a talk show on YouTube. So that's kind of how it all came about. And, really my goal in this is, besides just really educating people and introducing them to a wide range of people that work in this industry, I really want to showcase some of the amazing pet products, that we use. Because I mean, trainers, like, we use a lot of different toys, right? We all have our favorites that we like to use. So that's really what I want the podcast to be about, is a little bit of this, a little bit of that, but all focused on really pets and training them and, whether somebody really has the right pet to go and be an animal actor. I don't want people to also get discouraged, because you can also have a really great career just having your dog be a model, right? I mean, they don't always have to do acting, sit, stay, don't move, look pretty.
That's what we started doing mostly, right? Dalmatians, they're very good at ad print and high fashion. So
yes,
it's an easy way to start, right? Because it's low pressure. If your dog is a little bit not, you don't have like a mark from here to here. You don't have these beautiful movement obedience, which take time, right? If you just have a sit stay and a focus, which is what I put on almost all my client dogs. So I put client dogs up for ad print, but I won't put them up for TV shows or movies, because people don't keep up with stuff as much as I like.
I mean, it's a whole nother ball game once we have movement coming in. Right?
It's that intimidated me. So it took me like a year to take anything with video. I was like, oh, I don't know. I was really nervous about it, because it's so much easier to just sit and stare at a camera.
But, even trying to get a dog to sit, and then when the director says, bring that dog's eye line down, like we want to see, like your dog we don't want them to be like, oh, you want me to get up, right? You may, they're like, oh, that means I should get, no, we're just trying to get your ears up because you look like you've been beat.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Border collies, man.
Right?
Border collies are always like,
ears up. Exactly.
I have to do the weirdest things. I'm like,
and that's a whole nother show that we're going to talk about, Mariah. We're going to talk about all the crazy noises that trainers have to make in order to get the reactions from their dogs, right?
I who knew my 13 years of trombone would lead to making weird noises for dogs.
Oh my goodness.
My parents would be so proud of that box Stradivarius they bought me. This led to me going all those life skills all in one.
Right, and each dog is going to be different too, right? The one noise, or the bag of treats that you bring out might make one dog go lose its mind, like completely a banana head, right? Yeah. And then you're like, oh, I need to just use a toy for this one, or maybe I just need to say, oh my God, you're such a good dog and you're so amazing, right? And that's enough for that dog to get a good reaction out of them.
Some dogs are just so wired. You're just like, hey, and they're like, Twimmy. Then you have Lyra that you basically have to play ball with somebody else, and she's like, huh? Amazing. Aww. Nothing else works. Nothing else works. She's just like, I don't care about you. Thank you. Or I've had on set where they're like, we want them to look sad. That trying to figure out what your dog looks sad for without being like mean. That's tricky.
Well, so it's just a fake mean. It's not like a real mean. Right?
Yeah. You're just like, what are you doing? And they're like,
I used to be like, oh my God, you're such a bad dog. No.
And then they're like, huh? And then you give them treats like crazy, right? Like you do that and then you feel bad and you're like, here's all of the treats. I'm so sorry.
Well, maybe you feel bad. I didn't feel bad because I was able to get the performance, and all the directors and everybody's like, oh, that's so amazing. I'm like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Expressive dogs. You need expressive dogs. Because I'm pretty sure if I said to Lyra, my Dalmatian, right? If I was like, bad girl, she'd be like, you're a bad, excuse you. I don't know who you talking to. I would not get the reaction.
Oh my God. I'm not putting Lyra up for any sad dog parts then.
No, she won't look sad. She won't. I'd have to like not let her sleep for like 3 days or something. And then she'd be like, I'm just really tired. And then maybe you'd have that look. So no, her kids are more sensitive than she is. The Border Collie, very sensitive.
Oh,
but Lyra, she's so like, sensitive. So sensitive.
Different dogs.
Like, we literally had a commercial where they had her sitting next to a toilet and they wanted her to look sad. It was the strangest shot I've ever had to get. They wanted her to pretend that she had diarrhea. So they put her next to a toilet. And we're like, okay, now she has to look sad. I'm like, yeah, because she used the toilet. That's what happened. Weirdest.
Okay, I think did that whatever it was ever come out?
I don't think it's come out yet.
Okay, all right. Well, when it does, I need to see that.
You do. I need to see it too. My gosh, I don't even know what that looks. The same script had corn cobbing in it. I got this script and it said your dog has to corn cob, and I'm like, I literally don't know what that means. Apparently, it's when they like chew on their leg, right? When they like take their leg and kind of chew on it to scratch. Apparently, that is corn cobbing.
Wow. Well, I guess I learn something new every day. See, this is why I'm going to do the podcast. I still love learning. And see, there we go.
So amazing. Weird. So weird. Sets are weird. Hence why you have to be flexible, right? You have to figure out how to get your dog to corn cob.
Thank you. I really appreciate you hanging out for a little bit with me. And I'm excited to have you as a guest, my friend, on the show. Positively Famous.